So we are officially recording. We were initially going to do a Facebook Live with the two of us, but Facebook no longer allows you to add individuals to your live to do like a split screen interview type thing. So we're going to do it this way, and I'm cool with that. Whatever. Everybody's adapting. That's the phrase of the century,
Exactly.
is
Yes.
adapting. And um, I'm hoping that people will recognize that everything that you know, what, a month ago is going to be a little bit different. And so Anna reached out to me and asked if I was interested in sharing some information about um, mental health, emotional health, and how people are dealing with this whole coronavirus thing. And I said, I think it's a great idea. I mean, people kind of know where to turn, but then again, they don't. And so, how do you? I'm muting all of my stuff. That's what I'm doing right now. So dings don't come through. And so, I think it's a great idea to give people opportunity to talk, to share some things, say some things, and hear that they're not the only person feeling the way that they're feeling. And everybody experiences all of this differently. In my house, there are three of us, and each of us has responded distinctly different, I've come to notice. Don't be surprised if my husband forgets and pops in here because he's been doing it all morning. And that's his way of responding to the fact that, number one, he's not traveling, which is something he's used to. And number two, all of his work, which is usually done remotely, is really done because he's not on site. So he has to do things remotely and it doesn't stretch out like it normally would. It's like done. And so he's been popping in and out all morning, and it's been almost driving me crazy. But part of me realizes, okay, this is his way of responding because I think a couple of days ago I asked him about going for a walk. And going for a walk? Why? That was one of the first things he asked me when he came in today. So I said, okay, no problem. Yeah, after I do the video, after we do the thing with Anna, we can go walking, whatever that means. So let me get started real quick. And a lot of what I've been talking about is acknowledging your feelings. And a big part of that, number one, is recognizing what it is that you're feeling. Most people don't realize that when they feel something and they don't communicate what it is that they're feeling, they're kind of holding themselves back from fully experiencing and getting through those feelings, whatever it is. And for me, I'm a visual person, so I'll usually talk about it or get some image of what that feeling is just so I can understand what it is that's going on with me. One of the suggestions that I have with my clients is to write it down. When you write that feeling down, you give it a name and you give it yourself a visual reminder that you're human and you have these emotions. There's no right or wrong emotions. And a lot of people feel like there are, but there are no right or wrong emotions. Um, the reason why I say people need to write their emotions down is because you can't work through a thing. You have to give it a name in order to figure out what it is that you need to do and how you need to respond to it. So what is it that you're feeling and are you responding? What do you notice in your body? And that's one of the things that we call mindfulness. Pay attention to the smells, the sights, the sounds, the feels. If you were to sit right now, what it is that's going on in you, those are your feelings. And that's what we want you to get comfortable with, because these things are going to change every single day. There's a news conference from the federal level, there's a news conference from the local level here in Shawnee County, and sometimes people go live on Facebook and they share information. And so if you notice a little anxiety building, that's normal. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just as human as the rest of us, because you don't know what they're going to say. Most people have a tendency to um, avoid everything and then get it all at one time. And if that's what you're able to handle, there's nothing wrong with that. It's fine. I mean, that's absolutely acceptable. Um, One thing that I have stressed to my clients, to my family members that have talked to me, is to be kind to yourself and be patient with yourself. This whole situation is something entirely new to all of us, and we don't know how we're supposed to respond. There's no textbook to this. People on the national level keep saying over and over again, this is something new for our country. We don't know how to respond. We don't know what to do. And so don't feel like you have to act a certain way or you have to think certain thoughts just because that's what everybody around you is doing. And that's the other thing. Recognize the people in your environment. What is it that they are experiencing? What are they feeling? What are they saying to you? How are these things coming across? How are you guys interacting with one another? That is critically important for us when it comes to dealing with a crisis like this world is experiencing. Think about that. Put that in perspective. This is not something that's just happening in Topeka. This is not something that's just happening in Shawnee County. This is something that's happening worldwide. And it's something that's never happened before, not in our lifetime. So we have to recognize that, number one. And then we have to be kind enough to say, we're all experiencing a learning curve. And we're all not going to get it right. We're going to have conversations with each other that we probably should not have had. We're going to say things and think things about the people in our house because that's where most of us are, being stuck in our house. And we need to be kind. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is self-care. And this is something that I literally had to process with my husband. He was saying that he was hungry. And I said, well, what do you mean? Do you want something specific? Or he's like, I just feel like we don't have any food and I'm starving. And I said, this whole situation for all of us is almost like the mentality that a person has when they're on a diet. When you go on a diet, say you're eating a low carb diet, that doesn't mean you can't eat anything else. That means you're restricting your carbs. But in our mind, when we hear you can't have, we automatically shift and focus on the fact that we can't have. And so most people in the first few days usually end up starving because they don't eat at all versus not eating carbs. They don't eat, period. And so that's the mentality that we have, is that when we're told that we need to practice social distancing, our mindset is, oh my God, I can't go anywhere and I can't do anything. And that's not what that means at all. That means you can't go any place public where there's a lot of people. You can't go to the mall. You can't go to the grocery store just because. You can't go to the park and hang out with a bunch of people and play football, things like that. But you can go outside. You can go walk around your yard because you're still practicing social distancing. Don't invite 50 people over. Don't invite 10 people over, because then you're getting into the ordinances and the orders and everything. But take into consideration what you do have and how to make that work for you. So when you think about the fact that I'm feeling trapped or I don't know how to handle this, think about what it is that that's saying to you. Are you feeling trapped physically, or are you feeling trapped mentally and emotionally? And then what are the steps you can take to reverse that and to correct that for yourself? Like I said, my husband just talked about wanting to go and take a walk. He hasn't wanted to go take a walk in years, but all of a sudden, because of the fact that we're restricted to the house or to our property, he's ready to go. And so that's one of the things that we're going to do. So what I had him do is figure out where these thoughts are taking him and figure out, are they pointing him in the direction that he's feeling trapped? Or are they keeping him from doing something that he has the ability to do, like go out for a walk? I'm glad he reached the point where, yes, I do want to go for a walk. And I guess, yeah, that whole diet thing does make sense now. So I need to sit and process what exactly is going on with
Mental.
me, what's in my head, and what can I do
I
about
know.
it. And that's how we respond mindfully when we're dealing with situations like the coronavirus. So I'm going to pass it off to Anna right now, and she's going to give us some tips about how to um, exercise more control in this situation where most of us are feeling like we don't have any control at all.
Thank you, Tara. And so, with that being said, I think, we're all going into this together. I keep hearing that phrase over and over. And finding ways, now that we are at home, finding ways to discover, what do I have control over? The more we educate ourselves, the more we find ways to protect our mental health, because research is saying that now that people are in their home, they are, it's being detrimental to their mental health. And so now getting to the point where, what do I have control over? What do I not? Let's just start with, where are we with our environment? We're at home. What things can I do at home? Is this a time where we need to check in with our attitudes? How are we doing with our thinking, with our way of seeing things? How are we monitoring ourselves, others? What are we allowing ourselves to do? Are we constantly having this access to social media? Is that helping or not helping? Am I looking up at the right things in social media? Am I informing myself correctly? Tara mentioned the social distancing. How are we practicing that? And how are we seeing it? Are we seeing it as, oh my gosh, I just need to stay away from people? Or are we seeing it as a medical need? We need to protect ourselves. We need to protect others, because, as it said, you may not display, you may be symptomatic, but you can still be a carrier. And how is that affecting society and community as itself? So again, let's start thinking about, what do we have control over? And what can we start, how can we start looking at the silver lining in all of this? Because everybody's looking at it as something very negative, something that is affecting everybody. And yes, it is. But this is part of life. Life constantly throws things at us that we have to learn to adjust and adapt to. So how are we going to go about this part? So while we're at home, is this a time? Can we see this as a time to be creative? Can we see this as a time, to see things from another angle? So I want to invite you and to allow yourself to explore, is this the time that I need to catch up with a book that I've been putting off? What have we been putting off, due to the I don't have time? Is this a time that we need to reflect and to start thinking, how can we, what path am I going to go onto now? These are things that we do have control over, our attitudes, what we do with our time. Is it time to clean out our closets? Is it time to spend time with the family? How am I spending time with my family? This is the time where, it's almost like we are forced. I mean, not that somebody's there forcing us, but in a way they are putting that, stay at home. So this is the time to make eye contact with their family, bring out those old board games, talk. This is a time to, again, sip on. I made myself some tea earlier that I haven't made in a long time. What is it that you're going to do with this time? And let yourself be the one to determine, I do not have control over this, how long this will last. I don't have control over what's going to happen with it, if there's going to be medications or if there's going to be vaccinations, but I do have control over my actions. I do have control over what I do in the now, in the present. You know, if I keep attached to the past, then it's going to make me feel really bad. If I think about what is going to happen in the future, it's going to make me worry. So let's just be present now. We are being told to stay home, and maybe this is the time to just be in the present with ourselves. And we do have control over how we have our perspectives. I can look at all of this as a very negative way, or I can look at this as an opportunity. In other words, in a positive way. So let's, you know, I want to invite you to, you know, take a breather and really, which, you know, that's another thing, you know, are you taking the time to breathe and just be present with yourself? You know, how are you practicing on your breathing? How are you practicing just being there with yourself? Because when we take care of ourselves, then we are going to be more effective at being there for others. And that's just part of what our nature is now. We all have to be checking up on one another. So, you know, how can we do this? How can we look at our environment and say, you know, I can do this. This is a time that I've been looking to organize myself, to plan. Where am I going to be when this is over? You know, what am I going to be offering others in this time? What are my other options? You know, let's talk about, you know, can we order out now? I mean, you know, we don't have to live. I think that's the panic, that we don't have to live that fast-paced life anymore. We're being asked to just, you know, stay and to be calm and to just enjoy the moment. And it surprises me how many people are not used to being just calm in the moment. We always have to get up and be doing something. And this is our time to refresh ourselves. You know, check in with yourself. Where are you spiritually? Where are you physically, emotionally? Is it the time to, you know, start getting on those apps and doing exercise, crafts? Is this your time to, you know, check in on people, calls that you haven't made to family members? You know, this is your time to reach out. Those things we do have control over. You're given the time to do this. And so, you know, I think once we feel that we are in control of our time, we're going to notice our anxiety go back down. And we're going to start noticing that the fear that's coming along with this virus, which is understandable, is part of it, but it's not the whole feeling. There are other things we do still have control over. So what are some things that we can do? Some, you know, again, what I said earlier, you know, notice your breath work. You know, just allow yourself to take things in. Notice your sleep, your quality of sleep, your nutrition. You know, this is, again, time to check in on ourselves, because when we know that when we are good ourselves, then other around us can have that same ripple effect, right? You know, Tara mentioned about her husband going out for a walk. You know, maybe in the past that wasn't a thing that they had time, which now they have that ability. Enjoy it, you know, and just do something that you haven't had a chance to do in a long time. Let's see, what else can we do? I don't know if other people are already doing some things that they didn't have a chance. I know I've talked to a lot of people. They're saying, oh my gosh, I was able to catch up on my, you know, what do you call it? My crafts. I've been able to go through photo albums. I've been able to just kind of, you know, catch up on my reading. This is a good example. I now have new workers with me, and this is going to be part of life. And what can we let go? What can we accept? Yes, smelling flowers, you know, another perfect example, taking the time. And these little moments that I used to sit in my office and say, gosh, you know, I wish I could be with my girls. I wish that I could, you know, have both lives right there in front of me. And guess what? This is an opportunity to do that. how many are reaching out there to people that, don't know how to be by themselves, and reassure them that you're there with them. Um, and, this is also a time to gain awareness of our judgments, gain awareness of how we view people. Are we seeing this, oh, they're not doing anything, they're drowning in this, this is a time to really, be there present with them, reach out to others, and, see what you can do. I think, yes, it's a very scary situation with this virus, but I'm also starting to see people, the good in people. And why? And then I think it's because we were all asked to put our life on pause for a little bit. And I see people reaching out to others. I've seen so many people at the store reaching out to the elderly that are saying, what do you need? Let me do this for you. And I think that's just amazing. And, earlier I mentioned about how much access do you have on social media? We hear all this is happening, this is the numbers, we see the numbers increase, but we also are not giving stories about how people are interacting, how people are taking care of one another. I want to, kind of take you guys back to 9/11. There was tragedy, and yet our nation came together. And once again, we have something going on, and our nation is doing their part by staying at home to protect others. So again, things that we do have control over, actions that we're taking to not only protect others, but protect our families. And those are things that need to, we need to take notice of, rather than just focusing on what is going, what's not going right. And so, this is a time to take advantage of the services that our community has to offer. So what resources, where are you at? Is this an opportunity to, again, get to know your community, where most people need, can you, if you are able to go out and do something, can I serve my community? Can I donate to certain organizations or agencies? Other people may not be able to be as lucky as you to be able to go out and provide that time. And, those are things that are going to make us feel good. Being here with you guys, and talking about this. This is a way to, connect. This is the beauty of now technology. We can still stay connected. So, there's opportunities online for learning. Is it time to learn that new language that you've been wanting to learn about? Is this a time to appreciate other jobs? So many parents are now saying, oh my gosh, I appreciate the teachers a lot more. I see what they have to deal with. So they're reaching out for resources online to help their kids. Again, that's another positive. We are appreciating each other's and our positions a lot more. So many now memes on Facebook about, we appreciate nurses, we appreciate, those first responders. And, yes, time before, because of our fast-paced life, we did not appreciate, and this is the time that we are learning. So we are growing, and we just have to look at it from that perspective. The personal growth part, I'm appreciating things more. Even my environment, think that, stuff that I would not think about before. I appreciate, cleanliness. I appreciate now, washing my hands more. I mean, I think I washed them enough, but now, my gosh, I every time I go, and so that means I'm taking care of myself, more aware about how to take care of myself. So it's something that it's not going to fully take away my concern, my worry. But in the scheme of things, this coronavirus, along with other illnesses that are going out there, is just it's a speck really in what the totality of our life. We still have control over what we do. We still can take actions on, things. It's not impairing us, other than perhaps staying at home. But a lot of people are appreciating going out on walks, or appreciating doing something with their family. The other day, I looked out my window and I saw a whole family. It was the most beautiful thing. It was the mom and her 3 children playing, like just throwing the ball. we don't see that before because our kids were just, in their own rooms. The mom was out probably on her phone or watching TV or preparing dinner. There was that disconnect. And it was so beautiful to just look out the window and to see the family doing something, talking to each other. So I almost feel like, to me, the way I'm seeing this is as a reset button, for us to appreciate things. I know I've also seen a lot of information about how maybe this is the way the world is self-cleaning itself. It could be, because I don't know if you guys have seen the satellite pictures of how our world has, it doesn't have that same level of pollution. It's actually gone down. So again, looking at that type of information is what I choose to look, rather than just the numbers of, these viruses and have constantly going up. But, I'd rather inform myself with what have we learned from all of this? What have I gained from all of this? So, the more you stay positive, busy, the more that you keep in contact with friends, with, others, limiting or picking wisely what you see on social media, educating yourself, most importantly, maintaining a sense of structure in your life. You have the ability to create your own structure right now. If you're working from home or you're at home, this is something that you have complete control over now, creating that structure that works best for you. And I think that just, these are some ways that we can handle or manage our worries, our anxiety. It reduces it, makes us feel more in control, and just helps us keep more mentally stable. So, again, look for resources. There's a lot of people now offering telehealth, telemedicine, tons of now online programs that are now offered for free for children, for adults, the elderly, which I think is something that would have never happened if this would have not, happened, this current event of the virus. And so let's take a moment to appreciate those things, take advantage of those resources, and live our life, or we have that choice to live our life in that way. And I think if you see it from that, you're going to notice a big transformation within yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions, maybe some discussion for the ones that are with us. Anybody there?
There are about 5 of us in here, it looks like, but we're recording, so we'll post this.
Okay.
One of the things that Anna said that really stuck with me is creating your kind of structure. And for me, since this all started, I'm a creature of habit, and I work from home when I'm not in the field seeing kids. And one of the things that keeps me grounded in spite of all of this chaos that's going on, every morning I get up at the same time. I go through my morning routine. Everything is the same. And even though I'm not leaving the house, I get up, I get fully dressed, hair, jewelry, all of that. And I come in my office and I start to work, because that is what grounds me. That's what I need in order to have a level for me that keeps me from being anxious all the time. For my son, who was a college student, it's his routine of getting up at the time that he gets up. He gets his breakfast, and then he goes and starts checking email and all of that to get into his homework. And that's what levels him. My husband, his structure is different because he usually has calls early in the morning. So he'll get up and he'll get into that routine, and then he takes a break because the work that he's doing, he's an IT person and he's got companies all over the world, and everybody's responding differently. So the needs and the demands on him have changed so that his sleeping pattern has changed as well. And that's something that, even though he didn't notice, I noticed for him and reminded him that you have to set up boundaries. I know that you're working from home. I know that everybody that you work with is working from home right now, but there's still an 8 to 5. You still have
Right.
to enforce for everybody that at this time I'm done working and I'm going to spend time with my family. Even if he doesn't spend time with us, even if he sits on the couch and plays a video game, that's his time to de-stress, because everything is so intense right now for everybody. So you have to recognize that you need something for you, and that's not going to be the same thing for everybody. Like I said, there are 3 of us in the house and our needs are completely different. I will be sitting in my office or in my office doing something until my regular work, the scheduled work day ends, simply because I need that focus and I need that normalcy for me. My husband and my son, completely different. And I'm fine with that as long as they don't interfere, like I said. So when you're focusing on your feelings and you're being mindful about what you need, figure out how to get that. If that's a conversation that you need to have with the individuals in your house, do that.
Mhm.
Simply because everybody's assuming that, and it's not a selfish thing, it's a human thing. Everybody's assuming that everybody's feeling the same thing and everybody's in the same place, and we're not. When this first happened, K-State was on spring break, and my son and I both got the email saying that school was going to be extended. They were going to close the campus, but they gave us a deadline of when we were supposed to go on campus to get what he needed to do his classes. Last minute, that changed, and I could see my son's anxiety over these books and these binders with his notes in it, because he needed those. Those were things that ground him. And so until we got the final email saying you can come on campus and get your materials, but we also need you to move out, his anxiety, I had to keep checking in with him to say, hey, kiddo, how's it going? Do you need anything? All of that. I mean, I was ready to purchase e-copies of his textbooks just to give him something that he needed in order to keep him grounded. So, Anna mentioned earlier, looking at resources, one of the most interesting things that I have found is that individuals are doing things that within them they recognize this is what I have to give and this is how I can give it. Patrick Stewart is an actor who is every single day reading a Shakespearean sonnet on his Facebook page. And that's what grounds him, and that's what keeps him feeling that he's contributing to everything that's going on. I know that there have been individuals that have done concerts. There was a DJ that almost broke the internet over the weekend because there were so many people listening to him on Instagram. I missed it because I was doing homework. See, that's something that grounds me. Focusing on something specific that has a definite end is what grounds me. Um, there are people doing concerts. There are orchestras that are playing or streaming their stuff. The library is giving resources as well. A lot of teachers, and this is one of the most unique things, and one of the things that I love about technology is for those students who all of a sudden in Shawnee County and the surrounding areas went on spring break, and that was it for them. They didn't get to go back to school to get the pencil, their favorite pencil, out of their desk. But their teachers are reaching out to them using technology so that they're able to know that I get it. I see that you're worried. I know that this is your favorite pencil and it's in your desk. I'm going to make sure you get that kind of thing. So think about those kind of things. Number one, how do those things address your needs? And number two, how can you address someone else's needs by responding in that way, by giving them something that gives them normalcy, that gives them comfort?
Right.
That's one of the biggest things that a lot of people need right now is comfort, because there's so much uncertainty. What can we get to hold on that will keep us grounded?
Yes, a lot of people unfortunately did not have the opportunity to have proper closure You know, every time school is over, there's graduation, there's always some form of ceremony
Mm-hmm.
or promotion. And a lot of our children, a lot of college students did not receive that opportunity to have closure. And so that created even more uncertainty. And I think now that we are starting to learn that, I think, you know, teachers, a lot of teachers are doing a fabulous job at, like Tara said, is reaching out to their students. But I think at home, going back to that structure, that is what's going to take away some of that worry. It's going to provide comfort, because we all know that when we know what's going to happen, what's ahead of ourselves, what to expect for the day, it makes us feel more oriented. It helps us have better thinking. It gives us a sense of comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is something that maybe, you know I did it with my daughter. I created a schedule, and that created it back, you know, some of her anxiety of, what do we do now? Where are we going to go? Am I going to go to my grandma? Am I going to go here? Am I going to go there? And once we, you know, established this is how it's going to be now, those questions went away.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, those are things that you have control over. It's your home. And you can create that structure for yourself, to create those boundaries for your children, for yourself. And also just, you know, everybody seems to have more of a sense of tranquility, or just, you know, peace when we know what's going to happen. And so, you know, again, what can you do to help yourself? What can you do to help others? Those are some ways to go ahead and be more more in control. And I think another thing that I want to add on to what, you know, Tara was saying is, this is also a way to reinvent yourself. This is also how you take the opportunity to ask yourself, okay, things have been slipping through the cracks. What am I doing wrong? And this is an opportunity to reinvent yourself and to say, okay, this form of planning, yes, things were getting done, but not all the way. And now this is an opportunity to recreate what I have in a way that will. We have the ability to do that now. And so again, let's look at the silver lining in all of this. Communities are, you know, taking part by, you know, staying in their homes to protect others. We're appreciating more, as I mentioned, of what others do for us, what we do for others. And I think this concept of time, it has become more more important. And so I know I've been doing a lot of reflecting on, you know, this is going to be a time for me to, you know, work on something for myself. I see it as I'm being forced to work on something for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being forced to, you know, reflect on what I'm doing with my life, and to, you know, where do I need improvement on? What have I been focused too much on? And so, you know, take advantage of that. Um, so, you know, I also see a lot of parents, you know, not knowing, you know, am I good enough? You know, again, notice those thoughts. Notice those thoughts, honor those thoughts, and know that you are not alone in this. You know, a lot of us are going through that, that, you know, like what's happening. But also take the time to know that, gosh, look, you are all surviving all of this. We are all here. We're all having uncertainty. We're all adapting, and we're making it work. So, you know, take time to notice that too.
I agree. I know there are a lot of parents that are struggling with the homework and helping their kids learn. And I personally am not one of those parents. My son is much smarter than I will ever be in a million years, and there's no way I could help him with his homework. But I can help other parents help their children with their homework, and I've offered that service to them to say, hey, I'm good at this, I'm not good at that. So if you need some help, or if you need a break to de-stress, because I mean, this common math is not an easy thing, I don't know it. I'm not a math person. I will never offer to help. But, the reading and the social studies and all of that kind of stuff, count me in. And it doesn't reflect on you as a parent. Things are changing and how kids are educated. So again, adaptability is the key word for the entire world right now. Adaptability is something that that should be our mantra. We have to adapt, because I guarantee you it's going to be 3 o'clock and about an hour and some change. Something's going to be said in the press conference that comes out. It's going to be five. Something's going to be said in the press conference that's going to change everything that we started to work on yesterday, simply because this whole virus situation is something new and different, and they're still learning about it. And so we have to be prepared to say, you know what? Okay, I was going to do it this way, but they're saying this isn't the safest way to do it. So let me do this. And so it's not a reflection of us as being bad people. It's a reflection of us being in a challenging situation and doing everything that we can to adjust to that. And I think we're doing great personally, but that's just me.
It's usually in those breaking points where we find out what our strengths are.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think that's, evident now, not only personally, but as a nation. That is something that we've always shown, that in those breaking points, we notice more of what our strengths are. So we come up with things that we didn't think of before. And I think it should not just happen during a tragedy or an epidemic, a pandemic situation. We should take this time more frequently.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. Does anybody have any questions? We're coming close to our time. I think we went over on our time, but that's okay. We'll figure that out later. But yeah, Miss Tammy, you have to unmute yourself. There you go, if you want to ask a question.
Yeah, I've been Zooming all week, so I figured that out. I'm in the process of contacting my families. I'm a preschool teacher, and both of the parents that I got in contact with, the kids said the same thing. Why aren't we at school?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that these are 3 to 5-year-olds. So I'm saying right now, we can't go to school because it's not safe, but I'm going to see you online. And I can't think of anything else to add to that. I got a 22-year-old at home. He won't let me out the house now. But my little babies, I'm trying to figure out what to say to them besides the fact we have to stay safe.
And that's all you need to say. There's
Yeah.
not a whole lot that we can say because there's so much we don't know.
Right.
You're being honest.
Yes, being honest and reminding parents, reminding your children why you are staying in. You are staying in as a preventative, as you're staying in for safety, the safety of others, the safety for yourself. And this is just part of how we are going to help what is going on, whatever that is. And it is our duty, it's our responsibility as a society to contribute to that. And so, I know it's unfair because, again, we get caught in this, well, I need to go to work, well, I need to do this, and I need to do that. And so I need my kids back at school. Yes, but if we do that, we continue and ignore all the regulations that they're putting on us, it's going to make it worse. So reminding people of why we are doing this, that this is our responsibility as a society. Why is it that we help our neighbor? Why is it that because that's just what we do. Why do we take medications? To prevent something worse from happening. Why do we, are we told to eat healthy? Again, to prevent something, and we do these things. This is no different. So, I think just reminding them, and also acknowledging that a lot of anger and frustration are secondary feelings to I'm scared. This uncertainty is making me feel very scared. And so, being aware of that and knowing that perhaps this is where, people are coming from. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if I can handle my children at home with me. I have a lot of, personal stuff and it's not letting me be the parent that I should be. And so, as a therapist, that is my concern, parents that, are feeling inadequate. And so, again, just empathizing with them and reminding them that why we're doing this, and just validating is going to be very helpful. That yes, it is frustrating. Yes, it is scary. And I think that would also that's going to help them feel heard.
One of the other things I said earlier is that it helps people to understand what it is they need. And that's something that you could ask them. What can I do to make this easier for you? Within reason, of course, you have that frame in your head, but helping them understand that you, as their teacher, care about them, but you want to be safe, you want them to be safe. So anything that you can do to help them be safe is what you're going to do. Because, I mean, they recognize that if they were in the classroom with you, they would know, Miss Tammy's going to make sure I'm safe. So, I'm trusting her. And because you have that relationship, it will make sense coming from you. It doesn't seem like much to us as adults, but to kids, because they don't have the big frame of the whole world is experiencing this, then when you give them that, you're being honest with them, you're validating them, and you're still showing that you care and that you're there with them. I've had clients who are teenagers have the same conversation with me. I don't like this, Miss Tara, and I understand that. I do. I fully understand that. And if this is lifted and I'm able to meet with you in person, I'm going to keep our same schedule, which means I expect you to be up when I come to your house to get you because we're going to go somewhere. I'm going to check in with you about how you're feeling, your homework, and all of that, because that's what I do. And that's what you need from me. And that's what I'm going to give you. So you're on the right track, definitely on the right track. We got about 3 minutes. Do we have any other questions?
I think they need to unmute.
Oh, I think
Can
she
you hear
muted
me?
herself. There she goes.
Yes.
Hi. I understand everything, guys, what you've been saying, and I've been doing it. I'm a single mom, and my concern is more like financial things. I try to keep myself, busy doing things in my house, but it's always come like, okay, how I'm gonna afford it? Then, out of work, and they're gonna pay me my vacation time, but it's not gonna be the full check that I'm gonna get. And I'm worried about it because I got bills to pay. So I don't know how to prepare myself and make me more anxious, I don't know how to handle it sometimes.
Absolutely. And that's a valid concern that a lot of people have. I just went an entire week without seeing any kiddos. So it's in my head. It's sticking in there. I know that I'm going to have to shift some things around. For you, resources are definitely critical. Talk to your job, find out what their plan is. Definitely find out about unemployment, because Kansas has a different kind of system when it comes to unemployment. There's the regular one that a lot of people are on, but there's one that's connected to employers as well. And your employer may be using that system. I'm not sure. And I don't want to explain it because I don't want to confuse the two for you. If that's what they're using, then they're going to give you the instructions on how to do that. There are also resources. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I talked to my HR and they told me that they don't have nothing planned. It's always on they're gonna have a meeting. So pretty much they you have to take care of yourself somewhere somehow. But I don't see no help from my job.
And I think that the other thing is right now also contacting the utility companies. I know that they're putting off a lot of the utilities, so they're not going to be expecting a pay from people, but you have to call, you have to ask them, this is my situation, and the utility companies are working with people because they are aware that this is happening. So contacting whatever utility you're having, whatever bill that may be, they are not, and I believe, and Tara, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they had said that some certain utilities are not going to be shut off.
Absolutely.
They are aware of the situations of the crisis. And so reach out to them and say, this is what's going on. And they will work with you. They should work with you. And to set up either a certain plan and or put it off. But I do believe that they're putting due dates off. So definitely reach out to them because this is a concern that a lot of families are having right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
If you go to the City of Topeka website or the Shawnee County website, they also have resources listed there. The school district also has resources listed on their website. Everybody, as Anna said earlier, the entire city has come together and they're creating opportunities and they're identifying resources. So make sure that you're checking those websites. If you get emails from the school district, read all of those because they'll include information on how to connect with resources and all of that. But like she said, that one with the utility companies, that is critically important. People have seen on the news that they're not going to disconnect, but it does not hurt you to reach out and call them just to say that and write it down. That's one of the things that grounds me is writing things down. On this day at this time, I talked to this person and this is what they told me. So that if anything comes up, you have a name, a date, and a number of when you communicated and what you were told so that you kind of have something to hold on to just to make sure that you've done everything that you were supposed to do.
Thank you.
So next week, we are going to hear from a healthcare professional. Nurse Debbie is a registered nurse, and she's going to be sharing some information about how to keep yourself safe, your family safe, different things that you can do. I know that there's a shortage of hand sanitizer and cleaning products and all of those things, and so she's going to share some information about what people can do in place of those things just to be safe. So I'm thinking it's going to be the same time next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. She's in North Carolina, so there's a time difference and all of that. But 1 o'clock next Wednesday, which is April 1st. April 1st already. So Nurse Debbie will be here with us to talk about the physical aspect of safety, and she might have some information on, she works at a hospital and she's a professor, so she can give us some insight on how they're responding and what they're telling their students and what they're telling the patients as they come in. So if you have any questions, oh, Anna, do you want to give your email address?
Yes. So if you guys have any more questions and need any more information, my email is Ana Collazo, LSCSW. That's ANACOLLAZOLSCSW @gmail.com.
And I just typed it in the chat box so everybody has it. And I am putting mine in there as well.
And I am on Facebook as, again, Ana Collazo, LSCSW. So feel free to send me a message. You know, anything that we can do. This is how we survive through leaning on each other. So this is, again, a time to reach out, reassure people. And I think just you being here and learning, educating yourself, expressing yourself is how we're going to continue to move.
Agreed. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, everybody. And hopefully we will see you next week.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.